Thank you for joining us today. This is the Arizona Office of Tourism Selection Fest, presented by Western Refining. We're glad for you to be here today. Obviously, a lot happened in the last 24 hours when it comes to college football. Top 6 teams all won. We made a very interesting selection for the College Football Playoff Committee, and we obviously heard earlier today Alabama, Ohio State playing in the All-State Sugar Bowl, Oregon, Florida State in the Rose Bowl. We had a meeting earlier today. There's somebody who was excited about that. We had a meeting earlier today, and we wanted to ask if the College Football Playoff Committee got it right. And I'm sure that this will be debated for quite some time, but they did have their work cut out for them. What we're interested in doing today is determining who is going to be in the Vizio Fiesta Bowl and the Ticket City Cactus Bowl, which will be hosted here in beautiful Arizona. So before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge and welcome a few, actually one dignitary. I believe Gary Sherwood from the city of Glendale is here. Gary, thank you for being here and supporting, obviously, the Fiesta Bowl. And we'd like to thank the city councils and the mayors and obviously Governor Jan Brewer for their support with the Fiesta Bowl and the Cactus Bowl as well. We'd also like to recognize our sponsors. Obviously, Arizona Office of Tourism, Western Refining, Vizio, which is a new sponsor, which produced all these beautiful, large, flat-screen TVs that you get to take home today. No, they can't take them home today? Okay, I guess they're going to stay here. Owens, Harkey, and of course, Arizona Sports Radio 620, who is here. You heard them waxing poetic about who they think is going to be in the Fiesta Bowl and who they think is going to be in the Cactus Bowl, so we'll see how smart those cats are. And of course, we'd like to thank the Arizona Biltmore. So a round of applause for all of our sponsors today. Just a great turnout. What a great way to spend a Sunday in December. Festive, beautiful, beautiful grounds, cocktails, food. It doesn't get any better than that. At least it doesn't in my book. I would like to recognize and welcome a very special guest that we have here today, Sherry Henry, who's the Executive Director of the Arizona Office of Tourism. For those of you who don't know, Sherry obviously is very special within the Fiesta Bowl family. Sherry started as a volunteer with the Fiesta Bowl in 1973. She must have been 2 years old. She joined the committee in 1986, and she was announced as the first woman elected to the Fiesta Bowl Board of Directors, and then she became the first female chairperson of the Fiesta Bowl Board of Directors back in 1994, which is no small accomplishment, I can tell you that. She's been a life director since 1997. She's a beloved person here in the community. In March 2009, she was appointed by Governor Jan Brewer as a director of Arizona Office of Tourism. She leads Arizona's research activity and tourism marketing efforts on behalf of the state. And I can tell you what she does impacts what we do in Arizona from a hospitality standpoint and driving revenue to this great state. So I'd like for you to give a round of applause and help me introduce and bring up Sherry Henry.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. We are definitely here for a day of major, major celebration. And to echo Randy, this is why we love Arizona. That's why we're all here, and that's why all these people come to Arizona, because of a day like today. So I'd like to, I would like to take a moment to introduce 2 of the major staff members of the Arizona Office of Tourism. Mark Stanton, wherever you are, new city councilman for Paradise Valley. Mark, Deputy Director of the Arizona Office of Tourism. And another name that is certainly familiar, Karen Churchard, who was with the Fiesta Bowl for 21 years, is now the Assistant Deputy Director of the Arizona Office of Tourism and was responsible for the Centennial. So she keeps being super, super busy. Okay, I'm here to say thank you. On behalf certainly of the Arizona Office of Tourism, the entire Arizona tourism industry, me personally, obviously as more than a 35-year Fiesta Bowl volunteer, I think it's really important to take a moment to just say that big thank you to this organization of the Fiesta Bowl for all that it has done all these years for the great state of Arizona. And we also want to join the Fiesta Bowl in welcoming these two new fabulous sponsors, Vizio and Ticket City, who have stepped up and said, we believe in these bowls just like all of us. We also have to start at the very beginning, so I always want to thank the founders, two of which are sitting right here, for their vision more than 40 years ago. They saw it and made it happen. All of the volunteers, everyone in this room, all the volunteers of the past and the present, the communities, the various legislators, our governors over the years, Mike Neely and his great team here at the Fiesta Bowl, your passion, your commitment have kept the Fiesta Bowl in the big game. And a special celebration and congratulations to this year's Fiesta Bowl committee, led by Randy, who not only reached their goal, but exceeded their fundraising goal for this year. So let's make sure we give them a huge round of applause. And a side note of that is I think we would all agree he also made it a lot of fun this year. So Randy, thank you. You know, the Arizona Office of Tourism is obviously proud. We have been a major sponsor of the Fiesta Bowl for many years, even before I actually got to come to the Office of Tourism. So we can definitely speak from experience when we say, this is truly a magnificent partnership. It works, and we cherish this partnership. You know, we talk about the Fiesta Bowl, the games, the events, the parade, the year-long events. You know, why is that important? It's important because not only does it keep Arizona out there on that global stage, but those visitors, they come here. They stay in our hotels, they eat in our wonderful restaurants, they shop, they love it here, they come back, and that puts money in our pockets because that visitor spending drives taxes. And the taxes that they provide save us writing a bigger check. I think we also have more to celebrate today in that the Fiesta Bowl was chosen to be an integral player in writing the new game plan for college football with the inauguration of the CFP, the College Football Playoff. And we will be included in that system in the upcoming years, and we will be hosting our first semifinal game in 2017. And I just wanted to share a little bit more good news. The Vizio Fiesta Bowl on December 31st will kick off not only this new playoff system for all of us, but it puts Arizona in the national and the global spotlight for an absolutely unprecedented 33 days of Arizona as the epicenter of major sporting events. Tick them off. Start with the Vizio Fiesta Bowl, go right into the Ticket City Cactus Bowl. We roll right into the Rock and Roll Marathon in mid-January. Then we've got the Waste Management Phoenix Open, the Pro Bowl, and of course, ending with number 49 Super Bowl. In that 33 days, all you're gonna see in the sports world is Arizona. Woo! Never been done before, guys. Another Fiesta Bowl first, no surprise there. And of course, we know all of those visitors are going to be looking about what do they do also while they're here. So we're going to direct them to visitarizona.com. And if any of you want to know what else you can do in Arizona, visitarizona.com. That's our website. So thank you again to the Fiesta Bowl for working with the Arizona Office of Tourism to promote Arizona to the world. We certainly look forward to many, many more years of this valued partnership, and we wish you continued success. Go Fiesta Bowl.
Great job. Okay, by my watch, I have 12:44, and at 12:45, we're supposed to throw it to ESPN so they can make their announcements. Once they finish their announcements, we're going to come back and talk about the impact it has, obviously, on the Fiesta Bowl and the Cactus Bowl. One quick plug, if you haven't heard, our Grand Marshal for this year's Fiesta Bowl Parade is Amy Van Dykenruin. And Arizona, lives in Arizona, was at U of A for a year, lived in Colorado, and everybody knows Amy's story. Just a great partnership with Amy, and we're very excited to have her as this year's Grand Marshal. And I wanted to follow up because Sherry had mentioned the parade itself. So with that said, we will toss it over to ESPN to let them talk about the college football games and who's going to be playing in the Fiesta Bowl and also in the Cactus Bowl. Thank you.
Loves having the big tight end to get the ball to. So Larry's that guy. When you start to name 2 guys, 3 guys, Then all of a sudden, what do you do defensively? That's throwing you a curveball. And I'm not saying that Alabama's one-sided, but Cooper is the guy for that offense that if you take him away, then the next guy down is...
I don't think there's as big a drop as you think. I think that's a philosophical thing with Kiffin. He did it with Marquise Lee at USC. That's what he does.
Right,
okay,
so
we you got to wait just a minute because now we have cleared up some technical issues and we are now ready to unveil the entire top 25 from the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. We'll count them down. Minnesota didn't play, gets back in.
Back in.
At 25.
Come on, Reese.
That's great. We don't have to count these.
Minnesota didn't play and got back in. All right.
These college football playoff rankings are brought to you by AT&T.
None of these teams played, but
That's right. USC, LSU, Utah, and Louisville all making it in to the final rankings from the selection committee, but this is well down the list. Now, here's the significant one, the first one we've seen. Boise State, champion of the Mountain West, and as the highest-ranked champion from the group of 5, Boise State will be in one of the big bowl games. Old system, it worked for Boise State. New system, it works for Boise State. Outside the Power 5, go to school in Boise State. They make the money.
Good for Brian Harsin.
Absolutely.
And the Broncos. Probably see him in the Fiesta Bowl.
Missouri stays at 16 after losing to Alabama, 1 spot ahead of Clemson at 17. Arizona State finishes in the top 15 with another Pac-12 team just in front. Georgia Tech only moves down 1 spot, and Kansas State moves down a couple after coming up short on the road at Waco and just missing out on getting a share of the Big 12 title. So that's 15 through 11. Now you're starting to get into the realm of teams that you will see when we unveil the matchups for the New Year's 6 games, the other 4 big games. Arizona remains in the top 10. Then you have a couple of SEC schools. And remember, this year there's no limit on the number of schools from a particular conference that can be in the big bowl games. And Michigan State holds firm at number 8. Their only 2 losses coming at the hands of Oregon and Ohio State, both teams going to the college football playoff. So, anything that jumped out at you, surprised you from the ranking?
Not necessarily. I mean, I'm great. I'm happy to see that Boise State's up there. They've had a great year and they ended up winning their championship. So we're going to see them in one of the bigger bowls. And I was interested about Ole Miss and Mississippi State, who would end up a little bit higher. Mississippi State had the better record, but Ole Miss beat Mississippi State head-to-head. Maybe they both end up in New Year's Day bowl games. We'll have to wait and see.
It's going to set up some fun matchups. I can't wait to see what we're getting, come New Year's 6, see who's playing who.
Does it change your perception of the other bowl games? Like the BCS, the end of the BCS era, it almost seemed as if we waited on the championship game and everything else was an undercard. With the change and the committee making most of the selections, though, when we see the Orange Bowl selects the next highest-ranked ACC team, and then you move from there. Does it change your perception, your anticipation of these games? Yeah,
a little bit, but I think, we heard Gary Patterson talk about the importance of bowl games for these teams, and there's going to be a letdown immediately if you're a team that was Baylor or TCU and they thought they had a chance to go there. But ultimately, you want to be tested against the best possible opponent. And I think that's where we've succeeded in this new system, where you will see better matchups in these games.
But Reese, bottom line is we're all paying attention to the Final Four.
You know what? I'm with you. I'm old-fashioned. I'm old-fashioned. I love conference bragging rights. I love to see intersectional games. I wish we had more of them in September. Maybe we'll start to steer that way. But I'm excited about not just the 4 in the top and those 2 big games. I'm excited about a lot of these games where you get to see those power conferences play one another. I think it's good. And those players should be excited to play in those bowl games.
And remember,
some of them are, some of them aren't.
And you know what? That's a huge thing. How motivated are you? How did you prepare? Who's thinking about the next level? Who's thinking about transferring? Who's disappointed? At least when you start filling out your Bowl Mania thing on ESPN.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure, let's take a look now at the matchups for the New Year's 6 bowls. And we're going to start with the Orange Bowl because that's where the committee starts. And the reason they do so is because of what we said. The Orange Bowl selects the next highest ranked ACC team to replace Florida State because they went to the playoffs. So in the Capital One Orange Bowl, ACC runner-up Georgia Tech against Mississippi State. So you get number 7 versus number 12.
Mississippi State gets in. We'll have to wait and see on Ole Miss. Georgia Tech is legit. Paul Johnson has that football team playing well. Tough loss last night. They'll show up ready to go against the Bulldogs.
And the strength of Mississippi State is their defensive front 7. Their weakness is their secondary. So which one gives? Can Tech get a passing game going?
Hey, bro. all men are equal from the knee down. Defensive line from Mississippi State. Get ready to deal with the cut, boys, because here come the Yellow Jackets. That's on New Year's Eve, 8 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN. The Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Here is the matchup.
Wow.
Ole Miss and TCU. Ole Miss finishing third in the SEC West. TCU, Big 12 co-champion.
Yeah, and a nice chance for TCU to make a statement. You didn't think you thought you should have got in. You didn't get in. Go beat an SEC West team.
See, man, these games are great.
I love it.
These games are insane. I mean,
well, the problem is judging though who wants to be. Like if TCU shattered,
I get that, but I'm just talking about. I want to see those two teams play.
I think
want
they
to
can
see
get up for
Georgia Tech,
SEC
Mississippi
West
State.
That's the best game. I think that's one of the best secondaries in college football. Ole Miss versus one of the best passing attacks in college football. That would be
show up ready to play, boys. We want to see a good one there.
I hope they all do. Show up ready to play because we got great matchups if they do. That's New Year's Eve, 12:30 Eastern Time, and then the Vizio Fiesta Bowl. We sort of knew what this matchup was going to be. Boise State is the highest-ranked champion from the group of 5, and they get Pac-12 runner-up Arizona. And I know Arizona has longed for years to go to the Rose Bowl. Rodriguez, I believe, will get him there someday, but Vizio Fiesta Bowl is not a bad consolation prize for the Cats.
Yeah, and you get Arizona close to home, and you get Boise State. And anytime Boise State plays in a bowl game, they're kind of the people's champion. You know, everybody seems to be pulling for them if they don't have a rooting interest in their opponent. And it's always nice to see them in a big bowl game.
Nice running back, too, for Boise State. Jay Ajayi is the real deal.
Absolutely.
One of the things I don't like about the new systems, I don't know if a group of 5 team will ever truly get an opportunity. So teams like Boise going against Arizona.
Gotta go represent.
Yeah, absolutely. So they can show they can hang with the big boys.
But can I tell you this? If we're in the BCS system, Danny, right now Boise State doesn't sniff a BCS bowl with an 11-2 record. There's more access to them. So that comes your way on New Year's Eve at 4 o'clock.
Two major accomplishments, these bowl games. I mean, people that aren't familiar with this new system, they got to understand that.
And the last bowl game to unveil from the New Year's Six, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl.
Wow.
Offense.
I like defense.
I like Michigan State's not
completely different styles.
Not quite what it was on defense last year, but they're still legit. And you've got number 5 against number 8.
And I like the style of their defense. You're right. Not as athletic, but they will play man-to-man coverage, give you some funky looks up front.
And Michigan State,
we haven't talked about them at all the last month of the season.
You know why? You know why? And this is what I want to see something from Michigan State. Great Rose Bowl a year ago. Their best win of the season was Nebraska. They played 2 good teams. They lost pretty convincingly. I want to see Michigan State step up against a good team in Baylor. This would be fun. They could prove something to me if they can take care of Baylor.
What's interesting here is you have both teams with incentive. Michigan State, not just for their team, but for their conference, and the same could be said for Baylor in the Big 12.
So the Goodyear Cotton Bowl will be Michigan State and Baylor. Pretty good lineup set by the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. We're rejoined again by Jeff Long. Jeff, of course, part of the process for the committee is to set the College Football Playoff, but then you also have to do the other New Year's Six bowls. What was that process like for the committee?
Well, once we announced those 6, we went back to the room and began some deliberations. We locked down our final top 25. And then we went about the work of placing the teams. And, you know, we are to take in account geography and how often teams have been in a bowl, and then also matchups. And I think from this group of these bowl placements, you can see we relied heavily on matchups and tried to get the highest ranked team matched up where we could.
I know you wanted to avoid rematches. Was there any temptation at all to throw Baylor and TCU back in there and let them go at it again?
Well, there was jokingly conversation about a de facto Big 12 championship, but no, that's not a place for us to match those 2 teams up.
So what was the most difficult part of creating these matchups?
Well, compared to getting the top 4, it wasn't difficult, but you know, we just had to look at the geography and try to get these things into place. And again, you guys touched on it before. There's some great matchups here. There's great style of play. There is conference pride on the line in these games, which has been there for bowl games. So we're excited, too. The committee was much more excited about these placements because we do think there's some great matchups here and great opportunity for teams to finish their season strong and really send a strong message about their teams.
Jeff, what's this entire experience been like for you? You guys did so many dress rehearsals, so much preparation before the season started. You knew.
Okay, well, there you have it, directly from ESPN's mouth to our ears. So we want to spend just a few minutes discussing this. So they went through the top 25. I don't know if there are really any big surprises. Just to recap on the games. Orange Bowl, number 7, Mississippi State versus Georgia Tech, which is number 12. Peach Bowl, Ole Miss at number 9 versus number 6, TCU. Cotton Bowl, number 8, Michigan State versus number 5, Baylor. All great games. And then, of course, the game that we're most interested in, the Fiesta Bowl, number 10, University of Arizona. I thought we'd have more U of A Wildcats out there. And number 20, Boise State. So want to spend a few minutes. We'd like to introduce and bring up to the stage our chairman of the board, Andy McCain, to talk a little bit about the impact of the Fiesta Bowl and these two teams here in Arizona at that game. And then maybe Andy might shed some light on the Ticket City Cactus Bowl, which won't be announced until later this afternoon, but Andy might be able to provide some insights to the group so we can talk about that a bit. So I'd like to introduce Andy McCain.
Thank you, Randy.
You get your theme music.
Good afternoon, everybody. Really appreciate you being here. It's a really exciting time. I have to confess, I was told that I was supposed to come up here and talk about the teams, and I found out who was playing at the same time you did. So I didn't actually have a lot of time to prepare, but I do think it's very exciting nonetheless. I want to talk to the Ticket City Bowl first. The way it worked with Kansas State not making one of the New Year's 6 games, they go back into the pool of teams that can be picked. So now there are enough eligible teams in the Big 12 to where we will have a pick. And more than likely, it could be Oklahoma State based on the game they won against Oklahoma this weekend. We won't know that for sure until the conference makes all their phone calls with the respective bowls. Now, on the Pac-12 side, with Arizona making a New Year's 6 game, that makes the pick go down a little bit, and handicapping at our best guess, it could be somebody like a Washington or a Stanford, based on how those picks goes. So either way, I think we're getting very reputable teams. I think Oklahoma State has history here, having played in our game a couple years ago. So I think it'll be a super game. On the bigger game, on the Vizio Fiesta Bowl, we have Boise State and University of Arizona, which is, from a ticket selling point, a huge opportunity for us. Boise State has a tremendous history of bringing a lot of fans down. They're passionate about their football. They've been here twice before. They beat TCU in 2009. And they had arguably the best college football game ever when they played Oklahoma in 2006. And some of you may not remember, but Boise State was undefeated that year and had an argument that they should have been considered in the national title conversation. And we have close to the hometown team, but definitely the home state team, the University of Arizona. You know, they've had an incredible season. And, you know, despite the loss to Oregon, they've already beaten them this year, and they beat them last year. They have an incredible offense. Rich Rod and his troops, I think, are going to be very inspired. And I think it's just going to be a lot of fun to see that stadium filled with all the blue and red and bring all the impact that can do for us. So I think it's going to be a great lineup of games. I would like to just take a minute and thank all the volunteers that make what we do so great. Under the new format, we don't do as much scouting of going to games and looking at who might be potential participants in our games because the CFP picks those teams for us. But we did do a little bit these last couple weekends, and to this day, we still hear from everyone we go visit. They make a point of finding that yellow jacket and say, I want to go to the Fiesta Bowl. You guys do it better than anyone else, and not even close. And it just reaffirms kind of the culture we've made here, what we're trying to be as an organization. And I'd like to acknowledge the founders for laying that platform. They've given us an opportunity for 40-plus years to make arguably billions of dollars of impact on this community. And I don't know a lot of places that can say that. So it's been a privilege to be your chairman. We still have a little bit of work to do. It's like I tell Randy on his fundraising, you don't want to spike the ball on the 5-yard line. You look kind of stupid. So let's finish strong. But now's when the fun begins. We're putting a little substance to what we have before us, and it's going to be a great time. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're going to close this out. Before we do, obviously, we would like to give some thanks, again, recognizing our founders, Carl Eller and his wife, Stevie, Bill Shover, and Kay here as well. Give them a round of applause for being here. Arizona Office of Tourism, Western Refining, thank you very much for being our sponsors today for this great event at Arizona Biltmore. And just a reminder, in case you didn't know, the Vizio Fiesta Bowl is on December 31st, which is New Year's Day. So this is the first time we've had a New Year's Day or New Year's Eve day game in Arizona in quite some time. And I think we're all excited about the fact that it's a day game. So you can go to the game at 3 o'clock, be home by 6:30 or 7, celebrate the new year with your family at home. And then the Ticket City Cactus Bowl, January 2nd, which is a Friday, 8:15. So we expect all of you to be out there. Thank you very much for coming. Have a great holiday season, everybody.